welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's episode is going to be a review of Love Island 2020, episode 18. Obviously today's episode, we basically knew it was going to be the continuation of the love triangle between Luke, Jess and Mike, and basically seeing what new developments occurred, whether Mike will gain any progress, and then of course we were also anticipating the results, or just kind of seeing who everyone would vote for in terms of who they thought the least compatible couple would be. Would they vote honestly? Would people vote tactically? Would people try and save their friends? That's what I kind of wanted to know. So before we discuss the whole love triangle situation, let's get into the other events. Obviously, Shauna and Sophie, I guess, have another kind of hashing out. I thought they kind of deaded the beef yesterday, but again, they're hashing it out this episode. Shauna apologizes. It wasn't the time, it wasn't the place, and how, she didn't want to make her feel worse about herself, blah, blah, blah. My piece on that on the last podcast. But what I will say is quite interesting is that she brings up Callum. Callum came up to me and he was like, I made you upset, and, I'm, upset about the way that he instantly thought that I was being mean to you. That was suspect to me. And then what was even more suspect is that she brought up the fact to Sophie that she doesn't think that Callum is interested in her. She doesn't think that Callum likes her. And for me, that is fishing for reassurance. For me, that's kind of screaming insecurity. It kind of screams to me, I'm letting the girl that I'm threatened by know how I'm feeling so that she feels sorry for me, so that she doesn't even think about pursuing Callum if that was on her mind. That's what it's kind of screaming to me. But anyway, adding on to that, I've already said it like way in the beginning. Callum is not feeling Shauna, and he's probably only with her because she's comfortable right now and she's a safe option in terms of advancing in the competition. I think Shauna knows that Callum is not that into her, and I feel like Shauna knows that Callum is probably with her because she's a safe option. But I feel like because she likes Callum so much, she's willing to lie to herself and, just keep up with the fantasy. Obviously, she has a conversation with Callum. They kind of settle their kind of dispute. They both basically stick to what they said. They both said that they said what they said, but they both kind of agree to bury the hatchet. And then Shauna's in the confessional saying, I'm so happy because, me and Callum can never, be angry with each other for so long, and that's what I like about our relationship. And again, it's her feeding herself this lie, feeding herself this fantasy. And I think it's very clear that Callum is not into her. Honestly, I'm craving a bit of Casa Amor. I'm tired of this safeness. I'm tired of this comfortability, to be honest. So, and obviously another development is that Demi and Naz tell, the boys and the girls. Obviously Naz tells the boys, Demi tells the girls about their kiss, and, both groups are very excited for Demi and Naz. But that whole sequence seemed very produced. I feel like the producers were like, okay, Demi's going to tell you this and you have to act excited. That's what that kind of thing gave me. Obviously, we see Demi and Naz together, having breakfast together. Lots of people are saying that they suspect that Demi is being, fake and, she's playing Naz. I don't necessarily doubt that, but I feel like Naz is not stupid either. I feel like he's playing up to the couple as well. I'm not even sure if Demi is his usual type, but Naz is definitely playing the game also, most definitely. Also in the episode, we also see the producers doing some charity and giving Wallace and Rebecca some screen time. And Wallace is basically saying he's not really feeling Rebecca. He's saying, she's not really putting in an effort. He's not really feeling that there's anything there. Luke T pipes up and says she doesn't really offer anything. She doesn't really put any work in, which is quite interesting. I feel like we all knew they both didn't like each other and that they were just literally with each other because they were both available and convenient. The final nail in the coffin was obviously the breakfast. He made her breakfast with avocado. She doesn't like avocado, and I feel like there's a thing where he didn't like her and he probably thought that she was ungrateful for not liking the breakfast. As somebody who is like a picky eater, I wouldn't be impressed if somebody made me a breakfast of something that I didn't like. I wouldn't have made a big deal out of it. I probably would have just, threw it away and then just, made a little sign and saying, thank you for the breakfast, but like next, just for future reference, I don't like avocados. Considering that she is a fussy eater, I definitely understand that. So obviously Wallace tells the boys he's planning to break up with Rebecca, and before he gets the chance to tell her, Luke M goes to Rebecca and basically snitches on Wallace. Now, the reason why I think that's quite interesting is that I definitely think that Luke M feels threatened by Mike, and in case Jess leaves him, he'll probably move to Rebecca as a backup or a possible backup. That is my theory. But yes, moving on to the love triangle. Obviously, at the beginning of the episode, we see Luke and Mike confront each other. There's a lot of bravado, there's a lot of testosterone flying about. Luke says that, Mike is pulling Rebecca too much, like it's getting too out of hand. Mike snaps back basically saying, oh, I haven't pulled her that much. And then is like very cheeky and is like, well, maybe Jess is just gravitating towards me. I think that was quite tricky because that wasn't entirely true. But it's the thing where Jess is voluntarily making herself available. So that's some tea there. And then obviously Mike calls Luke for interrupting, basically saying, why are you interrupting? He's saying, that looks like you're a bit pressed. He's like, I can do what I want. It's my decision. And then Mike's like, well, same then. I can do what I want. If I want to pull Jess for a chat, that's what I'm going to do. And then he's even more cheeky. He's saying, well, if we're putting it down, I'm Jess's typical type. You're not, kind of thing. Being very cheeky there. Luke is getting very flustered, very pressed. And then to top it all off, Mike says, oh, it kind of looks to me like you're insecure. And then Luke just gets really triggered. He was like, I'm not insecure. But it's very clear that it hit a nerve. And I think it's true. I definitely think it's true. He doesn't like having to compete. He definitely doesn't like having to compete. And he doesn't like having to compete against Mike. Mike just basically is like, well, let's just let it run naturally. Like, and, may the best man win. Like I said in the last podcast, I respect Mike's energy. Let the best man win. The game is the game. It would be different if Jess was being very resistive, but Jess is making herself available. It's early days, it's fair game, the game is a game. If you really want Jess, you've got to secure her. And then again, with Luke, I'm seeing a lot of his time is with Mike telling him off, or when he's with Jess, he's talking to Jess about Mike. He's talking to Jess about Mike instead of focusing on the relationship, what he can do. When everyone was making everyone breakfast in the morning, what was he doing? So there's a thing where if this guy is making all of this effort with me and you're not, and you're just putting effort into being angry and pissed off, that is automatically going to be a turn off for me. Obviously, Luke is just pressed in the confessional and he's like, Mike is being so much of a kid. And you know what? Before he said kid, he started like he wanted to say Mike was acting like something else, but then stopped himself before saying it, which is tea. What do you guys think? Do you feel like Luke was definitely going to say Mike is acting so much of a kid, or do you feel like he stopped himself from saying something? I'm not here to say what it was he wanted to call Mike, but the stutter was very suspect. Meanwhile, Jess tells the girls that she doesn't really fancy Luke, but she's going to give it time. And then she tells Mike, she's 100% invested in Luke and is going to be focusing on Luke. But it seems like Jess keeps making herself available for Mike. They're running around the house together like teenage girls. And it just feels like Jess is getting very comfortable. Much more comfortable around Mike. And I think she definitely is still kind of suspicious. And I think on top of that, she also knows that the girls are going to give her a tough time. Like, not even like antagonistic, but it's kind of like, when, it's the classic case scenario of, your friends are going to have a go at you if you go back to that toxic ex. Obviously, after that, the text comes through for the recoupling. And it was very interesting, the vote. There was some tactical voting going on. there was some discussion that was quite telling of the dynamics and where people's heads are at. Obviously, they had to pick two couples which were the least compatible. If you got a vote, then you were up for the vote. It wasn't a thing where the two couples with the most votes get the chop. Whoever gets a vote is going up. Wallace and Rebecca, they were discussing tactical voting. Wallace suggested maybe voting for Finn and Paige because they were a strong couple, maybe even out their chances if they were going to be up for the vote. Next go-to would be, Sophie and Mike because they're a friendship couple, and then obviously the only other couple that are having problems in the house are Luke and Jess. So they decided to pick Sophie and Mike and Luke and Jess. This is just me noting down as the show was going on, so I might have gotten some of the voting wrong. So if I am wrong for any of the couples, please correct me in the comments. Callum and Shauna. Callum questions the sexual attraction of Demi and Naz as a couple, and it is again quite interesting because obviously at the recoupling, Callum wanted to tell Naz to pick Sophie because it's early days with the Demi, and we don't even know if Demi really likes Naz. So I'm not sure if this is a selfish thing here, whether the Callum has a little problem with Naz. I feel like maybe there is a little problem with Naz. Obviously, Naz was joking tonight, making a joke that Shauna wears the trousers in the relationship, and I feel like Callum was definitely a bit triggered by that, but obviously Shauna backs Naz. Shauna says she wants to vote for Mike and Sophie because even though she likes Sophie, Sophie's her friend, she feels like Mike is a game player and Mike can't be trusted. People always saying, Shauna's so real, but she actually, beyond, that conversation a week or so ago, she hasn't really brought up her feelings with Mike. She's said it in the confessional, she said it to other people, but she hasn't actually addressed this issue with Mike since she's so real, which I feel is quite interesting. Obviously, they don't pick Mike and Sophie. They end up picking Luke, and Jess, and Rebecca and Wallace. So then, obviously, Finley and Paige, they pick Rebecca and Wallace and Luke, and Jess, I believe. Naz and Jemmy pick Rebecca and Wallace. And I think they picked Luke and Jess. I think they did. Shanice and Luke T picked Mike and Sophie and Rebecca and Wallace. Jess and Luke were having a bit of an argument because, Jess didn't really want to vote for Mike and Sophie, but Luke was pressuring her. He was saying, we have to be voting honest, we can't vote for our friends. That's not what the text is saying. And Luke was definitely chatting shit. I feel like he just wanted a vote to potentially get Mike out of the house and get Mike out of his way. That is exactly what was going on. Do you guys think that Luke was being genuine here, or whether he just wanted to get Mike out? Jessica buckles, and it's the thing where she's trying to hide the text, but Luke is literally just looking at the screen to make sure that she's writing down the right thing. Football hounding her down. I just feel like after that, for me, I'd probably be a bit turned off by that, I think, at this point. I believe she did type in Mike and Sophie's name, and then they also picked Rebecca and Wallace. And then obviously it was Sophie and Mike, which was one of the most interesting couples. Obviously they're a friendship couple. Obviously Mike says that he wants Luke to go, but he wants to save Jess. But then Sophie's saying, well, they'll probably vote for us, wouldn't they? And then they're kind of discussing, and then Sophie's saying, well, maybe we should vote tactically. And as soon as she said, let's vote tactically, Mike's eyes lit up. Like, he was like, because we all know Mike's a game player, we all know Sophie's a game player. So it was a thing where their eyes met, and they're just like, we know what it is. We know we're both playing a game. We want to stay, so let's just do this. So obviously they do a tactical vote, and they vote for Shanice and Luke T. And I think they did that because obviously they are a strong couple. They know they're going to be a popular couple, so that is gonna give them more of a chance to stay against other couples. Then that adds more couples to the list, and it means they've got a better chance. They've got better odds of being saved by the public. Very smart there. I knew it from day one that Sophie was a game player, but I feel like it's a thing where everyone tries to keep their gameplay covert, but now it's definitely just out in the open now. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Do you think it was cheeky? Do you think that they should have done it honestly? Or are you here for the gameplay? Let me know what you think. I'm here for the gameplay. You got to do what you got to do to stay in the game. I'm here for it. The couples that are up for the vote are Shanice and Luke T, Mike and Sophie, Rebecca and Wallace, and Luke M and Jess. In terms of who I voted for Mike and Sophie to stay. I like them as individuals. I feel like they bring a lot of drama to the villa. They bring a lot of entertainment. I respect their gameplay. If they were to leave, the house would be boring. In terms of who I think are going to go, I think Rebecca and Wallace are going to go. I really hope that they go. I hope they don't split up the couples. If it's a bottom two kind of thing, I think it will probably be between Rebecca and Wallace and Luke M and Jess, and then maybe they might do a split spiel where, you know, they pick one person to stay from each couple. Do you think they're going to split spiel it, or do you feel like it's going to be, you know, an all-in-one? Let me know what you think. And do you feel like if it is a thing where there's two couples in the bottom, are they going to do it to a house vote? What do you guys think? So yeah, and then obviously at the end of the episode, they've let us know in advance that next week is Casa Amor. I thought it was quite strange. Usually, you know, we'll find out in the episode before that Casa Amor is the next episode, which is quite interesting. Obviously, the ratings are a bit lower, so I think they're definitely building up the hype and the anticipation early, probably hoping they're going to get a nice injection of views for Casa Amor, because obviously that's like the most popular event in Love Island. On Twitter, people are saying that Rebecca has no personality. I just feel like her light has just dwindled a lot. People are saying that they're not sure if they're excited for Casa Amor because they just feel like it's very obvious that these couples are going to split because it's clear that they don't like each other. Yeah, I just feel like at this point it's a bit obvious what's going to happen at Casa Amor. I think it's just about seeing it through. People are saying that Mike and Sophie will end up staying, the producers will save them, and it's going to be rigged. I voted for Sophie and Mike. I think they should stay. What do you guys think? And did any of you guys vote for Mike and Sophie? People are saying not to vote for Mike and Sophie because they're game players. I say this like it's going to be a running theme in my podcast. This game is a game show. Everyone is a game player. Everyone in that house has a game plan. People are saying that Luke needs to drop Jess. I feel like he does need to take the hint, yes. People are excited for Casa Amor. People are saying that they want to apologise to Leanne. Common theme. And I see a lot, like, people saying I can definitely understand now. People agree with Shauna that Mike can't be trusted. I mean, that's been common knowledge. People are not here for Sophie and Mike's gameplay tactics and voting for Shanice and Luke T. I just feel like people don't know what a tactical vote is. They're obviously not voting for Shanice and Luke T to expect that they get kicked out. It's a thing where they're trying to even out the score so that they don't lose. They probably know Shanice and Luke T will be saved. So yeah, that's pretty much the roundup of the tweets. For those of you wondering, my handle is @shannonfabuloso. The link is in the bio. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put on your notification bell so you'll know when the next podcast is dropping. Till next time, guys. Bye.